when the algorithm scans a business page, there's 5 questions it wants to get answers to: who you are, what you do, how you do it, who you do it for, and where you do it.
Hello and welcome to episode 223 of the Smart Agents Podcast. As always, my name is Michael Walter and I'll be your host. On today's episode, we are joined by social media consultant, speaker, and founder of Behind Your Curtain, Karen Liz Albert. With more than 20 years of marketing experience, Karen has been helping real estate agents create targeted social media campaigns since 2010. Throughout our conversation, Karen discusses the importance of a professional online presence, common mistakes agents make in social media marketing, and how to effectively utilize various platforms to attract your ideal client. She shares actionable tips you can use right away to make sure your business profile thrives. But before we get on with the day's featured interview, if you or someone else on your team has an incredible story of real estate success or tips to share with our community, send us a message to feedback@smartagents.com. We're always on the lookout for new guests to inspire our listeners. And lastly, if you enjoy this conversation and want to hear more, be sure to subscribe to the Smart Agents Podcast. We stream on all major podcasting platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and YouTube. All right, let's get on with our conversation with Karen Liz Albert. If you're interested in taking your social media game to the next level, I highly recommend checking out her website, behindyourcurtain.com. I've included a link to that as well as her social profiles in the episode description. Really, the way I like to start everything out is if you could just introduce yourself to us a little bit, tell us how you got into this, the social media and the marketing space.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm Karen Liz Albert, and I'm the owner and founder of a company called Behind Your Curtain. I'm a social media marketing coach and trainer strategist for the real estate industry. Started in 2010. I cannot believe where did the time go? But, I kind of got into it without a real plan or strategy or anything. I call it my past life. I was in the corporate world. My background is sales and marketing. And I worked for a software company based out of Santa Monica, California. And I had been given the opportunity to work with Facebook in the mid 2000s. So I kind of learned that. But then in 2010, I lost my mom suddenly to cancer in 3 months. And that was just a significant shift in my life. I don't know if any of your listeners have ever had a situation that caused them to completely reevaluate what they're doing. That was it for me. So I decided to kind of part ways with the corporate world and do some soul searching. And I had a next door neighbor who had a nonprofit organization. And so she came up to me and she said, "You're not doing anything, and I have a fundraiser, and that Facebook thing." And so she didn't really give me the opportunity to say no. I was like, okay, yeah, what the heck? So fast forward 90 days, we had the event. It was a total success. And the real estate agents that had donated the space for the event came up to me and said, "So how much can we pay you to help us with our social media?"
Yeah.
That's literally how it all started. That was opportunity knocking, right? And I went, I am going to get right back to you on that. And, fast forward to today, I just feel blessed that I've had the opportunity to help thousands and thousands and thousands of entrepreneurs, small business owners, real estate professionals really learn how to strategically utilize social media, in a way that gets them return on their efforts, and they don't feel like they're either in avoidance or hamster on a wheel.
Right. Absolutely. Tell me, what's the name of your company that you...
Behind Your Curtain.
What's that? What's the meaning behind that?
Well, so funny story on that too is when I was in my soul searching time, my daughter was in musical theater. And so, being the person that I am, needing to have something to do all the time, I'm a bit obsessed with productivity. I volunteered to help them do marketing and promotion. So I started doing filming and videography and all that stuff, and then putting together promo videos for the shows and all of that. And at the end of one of the shows, the director was standing next to me, and one of the parents came up and she said, "This is Karen. She's, she's been behind our curtain. And I was like, I like the name of that, because that's really sort of what I am. I'm really I'm behind the scenes, and I'm making it look like it's you, but it's actually me, So I went onto Google and I was like, behind our curtain, behind my curtain, and none of those were available, but behind your curtain was available. And I remember being really annoyed that the one that I wanted wasn't, but it is so much better because I am behind your curtain when it's my clients, I make it look like you, but it's actually me, behind there pulling all the levers and everything, and it's kind of unforgettable. People tend to remember that name. It has a very Wizard of Oz, connotation to it.
Right. Absolutely. So as you started to work with these agents that, reached out and said, I want to, I'd love for you to help me with my social media. What were some of the things that you were seeing that, really needed some work early on?
Some attention, some help. Yeah. It's pretty consistent. I'll tell you, what I see is that most agents tend to use social media to really just be kind of all about them and an everything to everybody. Because one of the questions that I always ask when I'm doing a consultation call is, who is it that you're ideally wanting to attract? And they're like, anybody with a pulse, right? And I'm like, you know what? I get that from a business development perspective and growth. I get that. It doesn't work when it comes to social media. And so it's really helping them understand that there is a very strategic way that you need to understand how to utilize social media, because you have things like the algorithm. And that is either going to be your friend or your foe. And another kind of thing that I've seen consistently over the years is they don't understand the importance of how their social media brand and representation, their look, their feel, right? The influence that has on their next potential client as well. I've had lots of agents that have reached out to me because they say, I lost a deal, because they literally said, we've looked at you and we've looked at these others, and, you don't have that competitive advantage, and you're not really you're not using the social media platforms the way that these others are. And so they are very influential, and it's important for them to, I always say, you want to clean the house before you invite your party guests over, right? So they're doing all this work that's attracting, hopefully, but then why do you want to do that if what they see is just falling flat, right? Not giving them that impression. So step one is, let's work on making you look good. And then step two is, let me help you craft a strategy so that you can start to become that shiny object and attract the ideal clients, not everybody, but the ideal client, so that when they do come to check you out, they're impressed with what they see. You haven't lost that opportunity.
Right. Absolutely. Well, I mean, I know if I were, in the market, to sell my home, I want to make sure that the person that I'm choosing, has a nice, clean, knows how to market themselves. Because if they don't know how to market themselves, they're not necessarily going to be able to market my home for me.
That's right. Absolutely. Yeah. And there is, I think we look at that in pretty much anybody that we're looking to work with or hire, right? I mean, you're going to compare them against the ones that do look professional and have the awareness of making the investment into how their brand shows up, wherever it is, and the social media platforms are really no different. It used to be, let's say, 10, 15 years ago, that it was just the website that the realtors needed to have that looked good because there was no Realtor or Zillow, right? Now it's like, who needs a website? Because nobody's going there.
Right.
Now they're going on the social media platforms. That's the Google social media. That's where people are going to check you out. And the other thing too is you want to think about, if referral is important, right, which it really is for realtors, you want to, if I'm referring Jane Doe, I want to make sure that Jane Doe is going to look good and that I'm going to be confident in referring Jane Doe. Maybe I didn't use Jane Doe as a realtor, but other people have, and I know her. And so I want to say, here, go check her out, right? So it has a big kind of ripple effect of influence on the success of your business.
Right. Absolutely. And I like what you said there about, I think sometimes when people think of their social media footprint or things like that, it's across a lot of different platforms. It's not just your Facebook and your Instagram profile. It is your Google business page, your LinkedIn page, all those different things. You have to make sure that they have a cohesive look and a cohesive brand to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Because there's kind of, I always say, whenever you are using any platform, there's really two markets that you want to make sure that you are keeping in mind. There's the market that knows about you. So your friends and your family members and your followers and your connections, right? But then there's those that don't know about you, which I think is even more important because we want to reach outside of our pocket. And all of those platforms influence those that know about you and those that don't know about you. And they heavily, heavily influence Google, which I think a lot of people don't necessarily know that, when, let's say I'm Google, right? And I'm at the helm and someone comes up to me and says, oh, I'm looking for flowers, right? And so Google goes, okay, here you go. Here's your flower shop. And you're in the back and you're like, wait a second, I sell flowers and my flowers are fresher and I've got free delivery and I'm around the corner. And Google's like, that's great. But you didn't do a good enough job of telling me that that's what you do. And so the question is, well, how do you tell Google that's what you do? And it is looking at all of these other online platforms and pages that Google utilizes as a resource when it makes that decision. I mean, obviously you've got the paid, you can't do anything about that, right? But on the organic side, the visualization I like to use is like the hub and spoke, the wheel. So you've got that spoke of Google, I mean, the hub of Google, and then all the spokes that it's going out to get information to kind of make that educated decision on this is the result that I'm going to give you as a result of your search ask, right? And so a lot of it is when I say clean the house before you invite the party guests over, a big piece of what I do is helping their front end look really, really good and professional, right? With the header, banner, picture, and descriptions and about and all that. But a lot of it also is, I know where the algorithm goes to get a lot of its information that it's seeking about the business pages, where the search engines are going. So optimizing a lot of the back end so that the spokes that Google is using is actually populated in a way that is benefiting that overall result.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's so, understanding, the back end types of things and where, or just how those algorithms are pulling their information is so important, because I know I talk to a lot of people that even, maybe they're doing YouTube stuff and they're producing great content, but it's getting nowhere because all the other stuff, all the descriptions, everything else that you have the ability to fill out isn't being taken care of. And if you talk to any YouTube, expert out there, they're like, it's the thumbnail and the title. Those are the two spots. It doesn't matter. You could be producing, the next the Spielberg film, but it doesn't matter if you don't hit those two first.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. And it goes back to, what are you an expert in, right? And if you know that there are elements to your business that you're not an expert in, but hiring an expert that knows that, and by leveraging the knowledge that expert has to help in your business and the growth and development of it. Like, I'm not going to sell my house without hiring a realtor. I have no desire to be a realtor, right? I'm going to hire a professional because that's going to help me accomplish the goal that I am wanting to accomplish. And so I say that because, whether it's me or anybody, it could be even just like a sales coach or somebody. It's looking at what you can do to invest in you and your business so that you see the growth. I always say nothing changes if nothing changes, right? Yeah. If you're just kind of circling the drain and wondering why you're not seeing growth or improvement or in the positive result, is just look at what can you be doing to bring in some experts that can help you, right, so that you do see some return on your efforts.
Before we dive into our next topic, I have a question. Agents, are you ready to build instant trust with the sellers and buyers you meet? Well, with today's sponsor, Authorify, you can become a published author and gain instant credibility with potential clients. You'll easily win listings and buyers will want you to represent them as their agent. Imagine handing somebody your book instead of a business card and watching them realize that you're the real deal and want to list with you. Even better, you can try this out for free because Authorify is giving you a free sample book so you can see exactly how it works. Simply go to authorify.com/sample to claim your free sample book now. So when you are working with a client and, because there are so many different platforms out there now.
Yeah.
I talk to a lot of agents and it can be really overwhelming to try to show up on all of those places.
Yes.
What kind of conversations are you having and what kind of guidance are you giving people to maybe pick, one or two places to really shine on?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a great question. So the three platforms that I generally do recommend for real estate professionals is Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. I love YouTube. I love TikTok. I love X, Twitter. But I'm all about let's leverage the platforms that can help you become visible and generate some leads. And those are really the three that you can do that on. TikTok algorithm is getting a little bit better on giving reach and exposure to those that are not pumping out massive amounts of content. That is not all about like drama and trauma.
Right.
It seems like if you're not doing drama or trauma on TikTok, you're not being seen. But I have seen a bit of a shift. I mean, I'm on TikTok, but that's for me, right? I'm all about with my clients, really helping them use the platforms. And then if they're still like, well, I'm overwhelmed with three, then we're going to look at, okay, well, let's look at your demographic. So who is it ideally that you are wanting to attract? And then we kind of sparse it from there because the platforms have different demographics and they have different kind of strategies as well. So it's just really then honing in on who it is. What's that community? And then let's look at the platform that is going to help you show up in front of that community.
Right. Absolutely. So, I mean, I'm really interested, I think a lot of our agents kind of understand, the Instagrams and the Facebooks, but how does like the Facebook versus the LinkedIn, how do those kind of work together, but, opposite to where you are getting your reach out there?
Yeah. So the Facebook and Instagram is a kind of platform of what we call like the B2C, right? So that's your business to consumer. And you really want to be using a strategy that's going to help you show up in front of that community. And when I say community with my clients, I really work with them to kind of unpack that pocket. Like, let's get clear on your who and your where. Don't be really, really broad because that is just kind of an effort in futility. Let's get you very focused on if it could be, a city, it could be a neighborhood, like whatever you want to, like if sometimes they're farming a particular neighborhood, it's like, okay, well, let's now utilize that, incorporate that into that kind of community. And so using Facebook and Instagram is really the best platforms to help you become very visible and dominate that pocket and really show up as the real estate professional that has their finger on the pulse of what's going on in that pocket. LinkedIn, however, is different because that's what we call the B2B, the business to business platform. So the strategy that I teach with LinkedIn is different because you could potentially find your community of consumer on LinkedIn. you really want to look at it as building your community of your kind of power partner professionals that cater to that same demographic. So it's not trying to show up in front of the homeowners of your pocket. It's really, let's build the relationship with those that also cater to that same demographic. So as an example, if you are interested in wanting to craft a strategy to attract the baby boomers, so transitioning into that second half of their life, wanting to kind of downsize, sell that house they've been in forever, 55 and over communities, right? So if you look at using LinkedIn to build connections with the other professionals like financial planners, estate sales specialists, declutterers, even anybody that caters to the senior community in your pocket, right? You still want to kind of stay in your geographical area because it's a much healthier conversation when you reach out to a professional that also caters to that same demographic in that same geographical area to say, hey, I'd love to connect. I see that you cater and support the same clientele as me. I'd love to learn more about you. Maybe I can refer business to you. Let's connect. And so that strategy is incredibly effective because then you start building that really powerful and strategic pool of connection versus just, I'll connect with every other real estate agent in my community. Like, that is not going to help you. That is not effective.
Right. Absolutely. And, I can even see, for the LinkedIn, like I'm in just south of the Jacksonville, Florida market, but we are one of the pretty quickly growing corporate, a lot of businesses are moving to this area. Yeah. And if I really, decided, hey, I'm gonna really go after these folks that are moving in and these businesses that are bringing in their people, I can start putting together some content on relocating to this area, and then maybe go after their HR directors and their hiring directors. That would be a great strategy for LinkedIn.
Absolutely, yeah. And a few of my clients have done that, and they've also done it. Another idea that helps maximize that strategy is putting together like a presentation that you can then say, can I come to your office and do a presentation on, like how you can leverage living in this particular area. You are not pitching real estate, right? You're not trying to get your next, but you are now visible to the people that are of a demographic that you're wanting to attract in a particular geographical area. And if somebody is relocating, that HR person is going to have you, top of mind as well. So yeah, absolutely. That's the best way to be leveraging the LinkedIn platform. And it's because it's not really where your next client is ideally, right? Not like Facebook or Instagram. Right.
Absolutely. So, kind of pivoting towards, talking about the return on investment, where do you work with clients? Do you work with them to build up that, that organic content and that organic engagement, or do you also, work, on the more paid campaigns?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't do any paid. Mm-hmm. Not my jam. Yep. I'm all about staying in my lane. I have some experts that I refer my clients to that are excellent in the paid side, but it's really important to have a strong organic strategy in addition to a paid. Because if all you're doing is just throwing dollars at these platforms, I call it lipstick on a pig, right? It's really not getting you the best return on your investment. So work on the organic side as well, because, the community is also very intelligent. And if all they're doing is seeing you as a paid sponsor on their newsfeed, you're literally just going to become, unless you have a really very prominent, effective call to action that is doing well for you. But it's hard in the real estate space. It just is, because you don't really need to put paid dollars behind just a post. If you're putting dollars behind a post just because that post isn't getting any eyeballs, the chances are when you put it in front of more eyeballs, you're still not going to get any. That's the whole understanding about how the strategy works. And I mean, I could go on forever about
right. Well,
about that part.
Yeah. Well, and I work with a lot of agents, and there's always that, should I be posting on a personal page or should I be posting on a business page? And I think honestly both. But what's your, where do you guide people when it comes to those two different schools of thought? Should I be doing, everything's going on that business page and I'm hammering that, or should I be focusing on that personal page?
Yeah, I get that all the time. So the thing to keep in mind is, while there's nothing really wrong with posting about your business on your personal, a couple of things you have to be careful about, though, is that Facebook doesn't really like you using your personal to be all about business. I've had agents that have reached out and been like in Facebook purgatory, right? Because they get the hand slapped. But the other thing, too, is that remember how, there's the two markets, those that know about you and those that don't know about you. If all you're doing is posting on your personal, you are never getting outside of those that know about you, ever. If you use your business page, and a lot of people say, well, I post on there and, I don't get any reach. I don't get any exposure, which makes sense why you then go to your personal, because you post on your personal and you get love, right? From massive love from your community. Makes sense. The reason why most people don't see success on their business side is because they don't have the strategy. Mm-hmm. And they don't understand how to leverage the business page in a way that will help them actually start to become visible and visible outside of those that know about them. I mean, that's the biggest goal, is let's get you outside of this community that knows and loves you. There's nothing wrong with that, but you'll never get outside of them if all you're doing is using the personal.
Right. So, talking about that strategy, what are some of those, what are some of the things that people can do to, look at agents' business pages all the time, and they're posting great content, or, they're active on there, but then you look on it and there's zero engagement, right? Or their pages have 0 followers. So what do they need to start doing to start opening those doors to those outside communities?
Yeah. So step one, first and foremost, is understanding your who and your where. Because if you look at the business pages, probably 90% of the content that they're posting on there is all about them and all about real estate. The algorithm is not going to show that content to the community, because the algorithm in every platform has one goal, and that goal is to keep the user community happy. And the way that it does that is by ensuring that the information that shows up on the newsfeed of every user is right in alignment with what that user has an interest in. So you and I are dictating all day long what we see show up on our newsfeed, right? Because we tend to post about and engage with content that's very much in alignment with us and our interests and our lifestyle. So if all you're doing is talking about you, posting about real estate, the algorithm's like, this isn't going to add value. If I show this to a user community, it's not going to add value. And it's not assuming that it's not going to add value. It knows, because we are how many years now of this platform where the algorithm is monitoring people's behavior all day long. It's very Big Brother. It's creepy. This is listening to us now. Right. You say one word and it's now on your newsfeed, right? Right. It's all, Zuckerberg is spending millions of dollars on predictive behavior analytics so that when you log into your platform, everything that is being displayed to you is very intentional, but it's being displayed to you because it's what you have told the algorithm you want to see, right? So that's why I say the first step is, let's identify a community that you want to attract, and then let's figure out what are their interests, so that when you do start posting content on your page, the algorithm's going to say, oh, okay, I understand who you want me to put this in front of. Because once the algorithm gets a sense of what a user has an interest in, it actually goes and seeks out content that it wants to share. A lot of times you'll see things that are called suggested for you posts. Those all come from business pages. You will never get a suggested from a personal page, right? Which goes back to the whole why do you not want to just use your personal? The way you get a suggested for you is making sure that your page is very clearly optimized. So it is telling and feeding the algorithm the information that it wants to know. Because when the algorithm scans a business page, there's 5 questions it wants to get answers to: who you are, what you do, how you do it, who you do it for, and where you do it. The who and the where, we don't talk about that. We talk about, this is who I am and I'm so wonderful and this is what I do, right? All day long. Well, the algorithm's like, that's great, but I don't know who you want me to put this information in front of. And oh, by the way, the information that you are posting, that's snoozer content. Because in the past, I've tried to show that to the user community and they don't engage, they don't like, they don't comment, they don't share. So if they don't get the engagement, then the algorithm's like, I'm not going to, add value. So what you need to do is make sure that you are giving the algorithm the answers to those 5 questions. There's 3 primary areas that you want to make sure you've got those answers in. One is the name you've given to your page, the designation. So populate it with as many keywords as you want to, right? Helping algorithm and search engine. And then the description that you have on your header banner image and your profile picture. 90% of the people have nothing on those pictures and they don't know. That's a feeder area. So what I do for my clients when we get clear on our who and our where, we unpack those and answer those 5 questions by writing out in a very strategic social media bio for them. That is with all of the right keywords and hashtags and call to actions and all of that. And we go in and optimize their pages and populate it. So we make it, right, look really good. And now then I teach them what I call a content and community engagement strategy. Because a big part of what you want to be doing on your business page is not just posting content, but also actively supporting your community as well.
Right.
Can't just be posting and walking away and playing, right? You've got to be getting in there and and the algorithm is watching all of this. So, your newsfeed on your business page can be incredibly helpful for you to execute a strategy. And all of that is basically what I teach. So if they're not doing that, then yes, it's a tree falls in the woods scenario on their business page. But they can actually become very visible very quickly if they know how to use the business pages in a strategic way and feed the algorithm, right? With what it's needing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I bet we could go, pick a list of 100 agents that have business pages and go check those photos, and probably none of them, you might get 1 or 2 that maybe have something in this, because I think a lot of people don't even think about that as being a spot that you really need to pack those keywords into.
The 1 or 2 are probably either clients of mine or they've heard one of my webinars or something, or podcasts. But yeah, it's and the other thing too is you don't want to discount the importance of that header banner picture also. Like there's a lot that you can be communicating because we get a split second, right, to keep someone's attention. They may go and look at your Facebook page and they're there and then their phone rings or whatever. 90% of the clients that I work with, usually it's a picture of a house or something, right? But there's a lot more that you can be putting on there to communicate. One of my favorite examples is a realtor that hired me back in, he's in Virginia, and he just had a picture of a house. But after we did his strategy, I discovered that he's an accredited military relocation specialist in Virginia. So if you look at his banner image, it is the flag, it's a military family. He's got all of his accreditation seals on there, his contact information. So, again, like just take some time, right, to get a strategy and then have everything visually represent that as well.
Yeah. And, talking about engaging with your community, how important is that to be active, in other, pages and within other groups within your community, and not being in there saying, if you need real estate, if you need to sell your house, it's me.
Yeah.
But
No.
just adding to the conversation and answering those questions that come up.
Yeah, it's critical. It's absolutely critical. I mean, because, when you're in sales, it's like how many times you need to touch somebody, right? Before they actually even hear you and pay attention to you and acknowledge you. And when you are actively engaging in the community as your business page, the other benefit is you're showing up as a business, right? When you're doing it as your personal, you're just Jack Smith versus Jack Smith, or Allen, right? Accredited military relocation specialist, Virginia, right? So that's the name that people see when you are engaging, when you're liking and commenting on other people's, they get notified. They get to see that it's your business name that's appearing. And when you are showing love to other businesses in your pocket as well, that all becomes a law of reciprocity, right? Yeah. You continue to show them love. They start to do it again. It's helping them get the exposure that they're looking for. And so much of it is just you giving, right? It's not the sales pitch. It's just you giving and contributing. And you'll see your insights just skyrocket just from actively engaging with others, but not just anybody, right? It has to be very strategic. And that's the other big part of what I teach is how to be strategic about who it is you're connecting with and what pages you're following and what groups you're joining and what type of content you're posting and reposting and sharing and all of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
As well. Yeah.
I mean, I think just as a simple practice people could do, if they're scrolling their Facebook page, just make sure that you're in your business page when you're doing that for a few minutes. And
exactly. Just flip over and just, and we forget about that. But yeah, it's a game changer. It absolutely is. So, it's just, look, if you're happy with just staying in front of your community and pocket that knows about you, fine. But I don't think most realtors just want to stay in that pool, right? Let's get out there. Let's get in the ocean. Right. Mm-hmm. So that's really kind of how you're going to expand your reach and exposure is get off your personal page.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, this is a topic that, we could go down so many different tentacles and have such a long conversation, but, tell me, where can people find, more of the blogs, more of the just the different things that you're putting out there. So if there is another aspect of, the social media marketing and the branding, where they can find more about that.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you. The best way really is if you go to my website, behindyourcurtain.com, there's options for you to schedule a free consult with me. If you'd like for me to kind of really look at what you've got going on, if I could give you some recommendations and talk about the opportunity to work together. Alternatively is, all my social media, you can find me Karen Liz Albert or Behind Your Curtain, either one of those, search those, LinkedIn, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. And the other thing too is, on my, Instagram page, the link in my bio is to my Linktree, and I'm always doing free trainings, free webinars. So I'm incredibly passionate about sharing what I know can really help move the needle for these professionals, because it's hard. It's right now is a very challenging time. Lots of changes happening in our country and the industry and law changes and all of that. So, if I can just help somebody to learn something that can just help them feel that they can see a bit of a light at the end of the tunnel. It's all about hope, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think it is, because social media algorithms change so much, or there's, the different changes within the platforms. I think it is really important to seek out experts like yourself to give advice and not just kind of do the whole spray and pray method. No, I'm posting everything. It's got to be seen by somebody.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, I appreciate that, because that's like what I was saying is, I mean, the people that you see that are really successful, they're the ones that have invested in themselves and their business and recognized that, they don't have all the answers. They're not the professional themselves. So bring in those that, that are. And like I said, like, I'm not the paid professional. I'll be very honest. Like, I know where my area of expertise is, and that's what you can hire me for. But I'm not I wouldn't try and do my own paid campaign. I'm going to hire somebody that I know, that knows how to do it better than me. So, it really can make a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I really do appreciate you taking the time to talk with us today.
Yeah, it's been my pleasure. Anytime. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
I want to thank Karen for joining us today and sharing such practical advice for growing your social media presence and ultimately generating more leads. Remember to check out the episode description for links to her website, Behind Your Curtain, as well as her social media platforms. So once again, if you think you or someone else on your team has an incredible story or tips to share with our community, send us a message to feedback@smartagents.com. Well, that wraps things up for this episode, but remember, follow the show wherever you listen to podcasts and make sure to subscribe to the Smart Agents YouTube channel. Again, I'm Michael Walter, and we'll see you on the next episode.